I'm in here today because it's the 28th of April, and in 2 days' time I'm going to be speaking all day at an event in Rome. And when I was asked to come here and speak, there seemed to be no significance in the date. It was just, yes, it all works, I'll go then. But then I find out later that actually it's a very significant date because there's a beatification going on in Rome. I'll tell you about that in a second, involving Pope John Paul II, and millions of Roman Catholics from all over the world are coming here over this weekend. And what is the weekend? It's the weekend of Beltane, one of the great satanic dates in the satanic ritual calendar. And as I said, I'm speaking to you on April the 28th. Excuse the noise, they're moving the chairs in for the people and stuff like that. I'm speaking on April the 28th. Tomorrow is April the 29th, funnily enough, my birthday, and it's also the date of the royal wedding in London. And then on May the 1st, of course, the great date of Beltane, they are going to be beatificating this man, Pope John Paul II. And I just want to read you why that is happening and what it means. Beatification, they love their long words and stuff, is the step before you become a saint. And of course some of the great horrific mass killers and destroyers of human freedom have become saints, so I'm glad I'm not one. Anyway, this is what the policy basically is, that beatificates John Paul II this weekend. It's Vatican policy to require a miracle, an unexplained healing often, attributed to the intervention of a dead person. Of course, Pope John Paul died in 2005, before they can be beatified. And then a second miracle is required before you become a saint. So you need a couple. Pope Benedict, who is the current Pope, of course, from Bavaria, where I spoke last weekend, he was the minder of Pope John Paul II. He was kind of the handler, because Pope John Paul was like the Barack Obama of the Vatican. Of course, he was the front man and kissed tarmac and all that stuff, but the real power was behind him. And this guy Ratzinger, now the Pope, was the main handler of Pope John Paul II. Well, Pope Benedict has decreed and agreed with Vatican medical experts and theologians, got to listen to them, that a French nun recovered from a serious brain disease after she prayed to the memory of Pope John Paul II in 2005. And so as a result of that, he's got his miracle, according to these chaps anyway, and thus we are in this weekend of beatification across Beltane. But of course it's nothing to do with this fella and everything to do with a mass satanic ritual in which the royal wedding in London, April the 29th, across to the beatification in Rome of Pope John Paul II on May the 1st are fundamentally connected, because of course London and Rome are massive centres, absolutely at the heart of this global manipulation that I've been exposing all these years. See what I mean about millions of people? I'm trying to find the back of the queue here to get in there, and there's getting further and further away all the time. I still not found it. Good business, isn't it? Made it. This is Sandro, by the way, driving us around. One of the organisers of the event. Great guy.
Hi.
And that's Neil with the funny glasses on.
As always.
Actually, you look too much like Jesus to be around here, mate. You do,
with
really.
Sunglasses on.
Yeah, wait, you must have done, mustn't you? Ancient sunglasses. And you can see this is early in the day, quite early in the day. And what it's going to be like later on, I don't know. But you look at the crowd already, just going all the way around here to get into the sanctum. And sometime today we'll get in there. So many of the symbols relate to symbols of the sun. It's also a Saturn religion and many other aspects to it that they do in their belief system. Anyway, over here, for instance, here's the beatification calendar, Pope John Paul II. And you can see, there he is, this Christian Pope, holding what is demonstrably a symbol of the sun. Of course, the sun worshippers go back to the ancient world, where they, in part, manifested here as what they call the Roman Church. Please, ladies and gentlemen, see it! All these people here, they're just being scammed every day of their lives with this crap. Isn't that right, mate? Italy, and he's the Swiss guard, but he is the one, or his guard are the people that are supposed to officially protect the Pope. And it says here that all recruits to the Swiss guard here to be the Pope's guards have to be Catholic, fair enough, unmarried males. What have these guys got against women? I don't know. Bloody strange. And when you think about it, how bloody strange it is. There's millions of people here, you know, in awe of this bloody nonsense. Anyway, the glasses are gone. They have to have Swiss citizenship. Why not Italian citizenship? I don't understand that, but and they have to have completed basic training in the Swiss army with certificates of good conduct. Why all that? Don't ask. Even at this early time of the morning, that we paid to get in through another means, you see, and so I'm following this lady, we're all following this lady, with this thing in the air, over here. It's a strange feeling, but there you go. We must follow. Because I'm in the place of followers, aren't I? I'm the Vatican. I must follow. I can't follow a lady, though, that's wrong. I must be unmarried. Actually, I am. I qualify.
This is hilarious.
Beam me up, Scotty. It is mad down here. We've just been and seen the Vatican being guarded by people in fancy dress wearing guns. I mean, oh God! I'm sure there's going to be a bang in a minute. I'm going to have turned over once too often and ended up on the floor next to my bed. Here we go. Oh, by the way, it's only the Basilica, it's not the museum. I keep being told this. The museum queue and it's over there. Sorry, my darling. You see why we paid to do kind of get in quicker. I feel like royalty. Getting in because I'm following someone with a card in the air.
It's a yellow card as well.
It's a yellow card?
No, yellow and blue.
Yellow and blue. What does that mean then?
Leeds United, I don't know.
Leeds United. Oh, by the way, this is Neil, the guy who looks rather like Jesus. And he's either going to be beatified by the time we get out of here, or probably, if there was a Jesus and he did come back, he would be not leaving here alive.
Yeah, beaten up more like.
Oh, sorry, we're out the queue. Oh God, life is so funny when you look at it. It is so funny. And a few people can't control the world. It's a piece of cake. Oh, we stopped. So, I'm told that under this, what is for me, everyone has their opinion, grotesque edifice with a horrible energy, I'm told, is that right, Sandra? It's supposed to be the bones of St. Peter under there in the tomb. Well, it's a bit like the bones of King Arthur at Glastonbury Abbey, you know what I mean? I don't believe it, and but again, it doesn't have to be true. The people that follow the religion have to believe it. And it's such a dull, almost like Masonic temple type feel to the place, which I guess is appropriate. And, you know, my father, he turned against religion big time during the Second World War when he was coming up from North Africa with the British through Italy, and he was stationed at one point at Naples, and he saw the most abject poverty surrounded by incredible wealth of the Roman Church, with even in that situation the Roman Church still demanding the money from these poor people for their church. You know, look at it, you know. I mean, this religion is about a man called Jesus. I mean, I don't accept the existence of Jesus, but let's take the story. Let's take the story. He's supposed to have been a man who represented the poor and the needy and the sick. This just represents the grotesquely bloody wealthy and powerful. You know. You could say, you know, the whole thing went wrong and took a wrong turn. It never did. It was all manipulation from the start. The whole bloody thing, the whole religion. And this, of course, by the way, just a quick one. This is the Mecca of Roman Catholics, okay? But then you go to the real Mecca in Saudi Arabia, and it's a similar thing with the square and the Kaaba stone and all that, Kaaba stone, whatever you call it, and the Muslims, you know? And then you go to Jerusalem, and you got all this stuff with the Jewish people, and there's all the shrines of India, the 50,000 bloody deities they've got in India. How do they keep up? And so it's a blueprint which is repeated under different names all over the country, called different religious beliefs, but it's the same blueprint. Different masks, same face.
La prego, venga avanti. Può dirmi la parola d'ordine, gentilmente?
Fidelio.
Giusto, signore. Questa è la parola d'ordine per entrare. Ma ora vorrei sentire quella per partecipare.
La parola d'ordine è per partecipare?
Sì.
Mi rincresce. Io temo di averla dimenticata.
Questo è spiacevole, perché qui non ha importanza se uno l'ha dimenticata o non l'ha mai saputa. Gentilmente, si tolga la maschera.
See, the thing to understand about the Roman Church, now called the Roman Catholic Church, is it's actually not Christian. Christian is a cover story. Behind me is the centerpiece of St. Peter's Square, which is an original ancient Egyptian obelisk from Heliopolis, the city of the sun in ancient Egypt. And the whole background to this edifice of global power and manipulation goes back to the ancient world, to places like Babylon. And that religion came through with the bloodlines that established the Roman Empire and thus the Roman Church in the same energetic satanic form, but with the cover of Christianity. So, for instance, in ancient Babylon, they had a trinity of Nimrod, the father god, Queen Semiramis, or Ishtar, who was the virgin-born mother of the other point of the trinity, Tammuz or Ninus, who was the virgin-born son of Babylon. I think, have you heard that story before? I think they tell it here quite often. And so when they moved to establish themselves and relocate themselves in Rome, Nimrod became, the father god. Ninus Tammuz became Jesus, the virgin-born son. And the other point of the Christian Trinity became the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost, who they symbolize, of course, and always have, as a dove. And in Babylon, that point, which was Queen Semiramis, the mother goddess of Babylon, the Virgin Mother, she was symbolized as a dove in Babylon. And so you can see that the progression, and it's the same thing under different names. So under the front of Christianity and Jesus, they have created a situation in which they are hiding the satanic true nature of this cult behind the Christian story, which brings me back to what I was just talking about in regard to this ritual that I've suddenly found myself in the middle of, talking here in Rome over the weekend, the beatification of Pope John Paul II, connected energetically in ritual terms to the royal wedding, which they chose to be 29th of April. And because Satanism is, to a fundamental level, the manipulation of energy and the vampiring of energy. You know, when you talk about blood vampires, okay, that's one level of it, that's the physical level of it. And of course, what does the blood carry except enormous amounts of energy and the human genetic code and all that stuff. But overwhelmingly, it's the manipulation and vampiring of energy. So any time you can gather together vast numbers of people, as is happening over this weekend because of this ceremony ritual thing, you control that energy. And of course in London, just before that, you've got the royal wedding with William and his wife, etc., where there'll be vast numbers of people whose energy can be trawled. And the fact that London and Rome are these two great energetic centres, as well as centres of global manipulation of events and perception, that is no accident. There's a massive Beltane ritual going on here, and it's to do with using the power drawn off these massive crowds in these highly significant energetic places, London and Rome, for whatever they're choosing to do with that energy and how they want to use the potential of that energy. It's much, much deeper than anyone realizes, and that's what's going on this weekend as it's becoming clearer and clearer all the time. Anyway, let's have a look around this place. Like 3 or 4 minutes walk from St. Peter's Square, and here is one of many secret societies, because that's what they are, that operate within the Roman Church overall secret society, because that is what it is. This is the headquarters of the Jesuit order, the Order of Jesus. Goes way back centuries, and it's one of the major manipulating organizations, not just within the Roman Catholic web, but within the overall global manipulating web. Also in Rome, at the headquarters of the Knights of Malta, of course another one of these orders that goes way back into history, centuries and centuries ago. And there's also the Knights Templar connected to the Roman Church, and the Knights Templar, of course, have come up many, many times over recent years in terms of secrets and hiding secrets and another agenda that the people never see. Hello. Hello. And inside, there's our old friend, the sun, again. It's a cult.
Oh,
This is called Capitoline Hill, just across Rome from St. Peter's Square, where we've just been, and one of the famous 7 hills of Rome. Now, Capitoline Hill, it might remind some people of Capitol Hill in Washington, and it should, because that's where Capitol Hill comes from. Capitoline Hill was the ancient location of, oh God, falling over, the ancient location of the Temple of Jupiter. And Capitoline comes from the word caput, the Latin word caput, which means, of course, something's dead. Why? Because the word means skull, human skull. So Capitoline Hill, it means the hill or place of the skull. So we have the word, of course, like I say, caput, skull, which we use for meaning something's dead. So this cult, this satanic network, which has been expanding across the world to the present day and through history, not only, of course, has infiltrated religion and created that to imprison the minds of the people, it's also into politics, and it's into banking, and it's into the transnational corporations, it's into the media. And so when you look around these different institutions of control, you find the same symbolism running through them. So here we are at the hill of the skull, the place of the skull, and then you move into the Christian religion, and in Jerusalem Jesus was supposed to have been crucified on the cross at Golgotha. What's that mean? The place of the skull. And then you move across to the United States, when the United States was set up and they built Washington DC. Then they put their center of government at a place called Capitol Hill. That's why it's not Capital Hill, it's Capitol with an O. And what it means, of course, from this origin, place of the skull, the center political power in America. And then you start to look at the buildings in Washington DC. And you start looking at the buildings in places like London, with the in the City of London and the Bank of England. And what do they remind you of? Buildings of ancient Rome, ancient Greece. No accident, by design. And wherever you kind of look in this whole story, if you look deep enough, you find this symbolism of moon goddesses and skulls and all the rest of it. So we have the moon goddess that is actually holding the torch of Nimrod, the father god of Babylon, that was his symbol, in New York Harbor. The Statue of Liberty was given to New York by who? French Freemasons in Paris, where there is a mirror image on an island in the River Seine of the Statue of Liberty, because those Freemasons knew exactly what it symbolized. The land of freedom? No, no. We're controlling the place, we're showing you, but you can't see it, can you? Because the Statue of Liberty is the ancient Babylonian, and indeed under many names, ancient universal moon goddess. And when you look at ancient coins that have the moon goddess on, then it's got spikes around the head, just like the Statue of Liberty. Then you go again to Washington, D.C., and you go to the big dome on the Capitol building. On the top of that, you've got the goddess freedom. No, no, you've got the goddess enslavement. That's the moon goddess again of this cult. And then you look at the goddess Columbia, the goddess of the District of Columbia and all that stuff, where the center of power is, or at least a legislation power. And what is that? Look at the goddess Columbia, spikes around the head. That's the ancient Babylonian universal moon goddess. And then you move to Paris, and Princess Diana's ritual assassination in that tunnel in Paris. And of course, the goddess Diana was another ancient name for the moon goddess, went under many, many different names in different cultures. And there was Princess Diana ritually murdered in that tunnel. What was the tunnel called? Pont d'Alma. What does that mean? Bridge or passage of the moon goddess. It's all symbolism of the cult, all around us. And it's an open book once you start to understand it. And we are starting to uncover this and realize that the rabbit hole in this global conspiracy and enslavement of humanity goes very, very deep indeed. To ancient times and places like this, Capitoline Hill and the Temple of Jupiter and ancient Rome. Incredible, but true. Where we're moving now is over there to what we would call today like a gigantic sports stadium. They weren't kicking a bag of wind about in those days, the Colosseum. But it's amazing, isn't it? You come all the way to Rome and it's in bloody ruins.
So here we are inside the Colosseum, and when you see the size of it,
and you think that 50,000 people used to congregate here, and it was completed in 80 AD. It is just extraordinary, and what you feel when you come here, this is the second, third time I've been here, it just reminds you of a football stadium today. And there are other connections which I'll get to a bit later in terms of words and stuff. But here, where you see the underground passages, this is where all the animals and what have you and the lions were kept before they were brought onto the arena to, well, tear people apart for the gratification of the audience. And there were gladiatorial battles and slaughter on a mass scale with great cheering crowds. And you know, I mentioned earlier about the trawling of energy in this ritual over Beltane that I'm talking about, involving the royal wedding in London, beatification of in Rome. Well, just imagine what energy there was to trawl a 50,000 crowd cheering and gloating and loving the slaughter of animals and people. Because when we generate an emotion, when we express an emotion, whether it's love or hatred or whatever, that has a particular frequency. And when we are in that emotional mental state, we are generating that frequency. And people may not want to believe this, oh, that Ike's mad, he talks about reptilians. Yes, I do, and other demonic entities operating just outside of human sight as well. And they feed off human energy. So when they talk about sacrificing young virgins and making sacrifices in the ancient world to the gods were these entities just outside of human sight that feed off very low vibrational energy, that all those the energies that vibrate around the center of fear and terror and all the rest of it. And they feed off it. While in the satanic rituals, if people in human form, if you like, are drinking blood as they do and the horrible things that they do, on another level, just outside of human sight, these entities are feeding off the terror of the victim. Now, you get 50,000 people in the Colosseum, absolutely up for it, absolutely getting off on this mass slaughter going on here, and you have an enormous power of energy vibrating within the same frequency range that these guys absorb energy from. And it's also, when you think about it, when you look at all the football that goes on around the world. I used to play football years ago, and you get all these people gathered together in one place, and they're not kind of getting off on slaughter, but there's a heck of a lot of anger and this kind of energy and all the stuff going on between the two sides in the crowd, and the anger at the players, the anger at the referee, and you can go into a football stadium and people say the atmosphere was so incredible. You could feel the hairs on your neck stand up. Well, why is that? Because that is caused by electromagnetic fields generated by these fantastic numbers of energy fields interacting together en masse. And so when we're talking of rituals and the way they set these rituals up, like we're talking about this weekend in Rome, when I heard on the news that London of all places, was making a bid for the 2012 Olympic Games, I said to my family and my friends, there's only one winner here, because this is meant. They want the Olympic Games in London on 2012 because it's one of their mass people rituals, and I'm more convinced about that than ever I've been so far. And that's why it's going on. And so all this stuff is going on around us, these rituals, this trawling of human energy individually and collectively, and we haven't got a clue that it's being done. Well, we're getting a clue now. Yeah, it's interesting, talking about the connection with today's football and this arena, because the very term arena comes from a Latin word meaning sand, because all of this arena, in the time that this was doing the horrific things that went on here, it was covered in sand. That was the medium on which everything was done. And so sand, through the Latin word, comes through to arena. And when you look at this place, it is like the first sports stadium. It's extraordinary. 80 AD, did I say it was? Unbelievable. We're standing here on the outside of the Colosseum. Behind me you've got a famous landmark in Rome called the Constantine Arch. This was built to commemorate victory in battle. Of course, we've got to have battles, we've got to fight, and we commemorate them because we're men, We've got big dicks and lots of testosterone and not much. But anyway, the uniform's nice. Emperor Constantine was very relevant to the story we've been telling today, because in 325 AD at a place called Nicaea, which is now called a place called Iznik in Turkey, the Council of Nicaea it was called, 325 AD, Emperor Constantine called the Christian leaders together and basically told them what Christians were going to believe from that day to this. the Nicene Creed, coming from 325 AD. Do you think we might have worked something out more since then? Do you reckon there's a chance of that? Not really, it seems. Is the foundation of Christianity to this day. And what happened in Rome is that after Constantine, and by the way, Constantine was not a follower of Jesus through his life and Christianity, he worshipped a god called Sol Invictus. Stands back in amazement. Thank you very much, round of applause. He worshipped a god called Sol Invictus, which, surprise, surprise, means unconquered sun. Again, the sun worship whole theme coming through. And what they then did was just change everything over from all this represents the pagan gods and all that stuff. Oh no, it represents Christianity now. And just across the city from here is a place called the Pantheon. And Pantheon means all the gods, basically. And it was I think it was 27 BC, was it? It was a long time ago. They built the original Pantheon, and they built other ones on the site since. And then in 609 AD, they decided, not because of the influence of Constantine and making Christianity the official religion of the Roman kind of empire, what was left of it, they decided that the Pantheon was no longer the place of all the gods, it was the place of the Christian religion. And that's all they did. And one of the key reasons that the people that followed the pre-Christian gods, like Mithra for instance, is because the story that was told about Mithra, it was the vine and the shepherd and the virgin-born son, all the deal that we see with Jesus, it was that the stories were so much the bloody same that only the names changed. They didn't really have a problem with it. And then the Christian religion, which basically took over the pagan religions and the pagan places, then started condemning the pagan religion, and off we go. It's, what do they call it? A joke. Let me see. I was in Holland playing. Yeah, I remember this one. Nice one.
Nice, huh?
I was in the Netherlands, age 15, playing a football tournament for Coventry City in the summer of 1960 something, when I first heard the movie Blues, Nights in White Satin, and they're absolutely great. It's a nice one, this. I've heard this for ages.
Close your eyes and look up in between your brows. Then slowly breathing in, feel the life force streaming in. There's one thing I can do. Play my mantra for you. Try to blow away the city blues. Your dreams are not unfound. Get your feet back on the ground. The truth will set us free. We cannot lose. It's nice.
Well, we've come here just out from the centre of Rome to, well, an amazing place when you look around it. People researching kind of the esoteric symbolism and free masons and secret societies. The name of the place says it all. It's the square of the Knights of Malta, and Sandro, that's been driving us around, has brought it out here, and whoa, look at it. You've got Medusa, the lady who had the snakes coming out of her head. You've got the snakes up there in that symbol, course, very symbolic if anyone's followed my work at all. And down here, there's the arrows. It's very symbolic of the Rothschilds. They use arrows in their symbolism. And over here we've got the classic Knights of Malta cross, the Maltese cross. And of course the Knights of Malta were once called the Knights of Rhodes, and they'll go even further back into Jerusalem. They were the Knights of St. John, which came out eventually with the Knights of Malta, based here now in Rome. They kept being thrown out of places and stuff, but they've settled here now. And it's just one of these very, very close to the spider secret societies within this global web of manipulation, with the Jesuits and with Opus Dei and the Knights Templar. They kind of all they all paddle in the same water, basically. Flag. That's it there. There's the flag. Yeah, the Knights of Malta. And you know, over the years, I've come across people. Oh, by the way, here you've got the. This is the equivalent of the Twin Towers. This is the entrance.
Called the atrium.
The atrium, and there's another one over there. And it's kind of funny because today we had the royal wedding in London. I forced myself to watch a few minutes of it. Thankfully, not too much. And you look at Westminster Abbey, where the real ritual went on today, the focus of the ritual with all the wedding and all that stuff, and it's Twin Towers. It's what it is. And then you look at the Twin Towers on 9/11, and it's all connected. It's all symbolism. These people are symbolism absolutely obsessed. But as I was saying, over the years, I've come across people who've had dealings with the Knights of Malta, people who've been offered jobs with them, financial people. And they have been shocked, because they didn't realize at that time, that the Knights of Malta said they ran the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Because one guy I knew in finance in America, he was offered a job with them. And it was kind of understandable why, because he didn't know at the time, but his father had been involved in the CIA most of his life. And when he said to them the question, how can you offer me a job with the Knights of Malta? You're a secret society. They said, as I just indicated, we run it. It's like they're subcontracted by the cabal to run it, the International Monetary Fund. Up here you've got the eagle or the phoenix looking both ways, you know, and that's like when you look at someone and you say the truth went that away, and smoke and mirrors and all that stuff. But there's a lot deeper symbolism in all that as well. So this is the home of the Knights of Malta. Oh, that's a flash car, somebody there. And although people think politicians and people like that run the world, they don't. People like this do it. And even deeper secret societies even than this. Thanks, Sandro, that was great, mate. One last thing before we leave here. Sandro's just telling me that flag flying, that Knights of Malta flag, signifies that the Italian government has got no rights, no say in what goes on here. They're not subject to the law of the rest of the Italian people. And of course this is a common theme, because the Vatican City is its own country in effect, which is a law unto itself. And then you go to the City of London, the financial district, what they call the Square Mile, which has its own police force and its own government and its own Lord Mayor of London, who's always a high Freemason and connected into that whole network. And it again, although they don't tell you, is in effect a country unto itself and a law unto itself. So this is a common thing, where they create within another country something that makes them not accountable and not subject to the laws of that country. This has a name that means big fountain, which kind of gives it away. And it was built in 1612 AD, so it's old to say the least. So let's go along and have a look at some of the symbols of it. And there's reptilian symbolism all over.
It's not easy to be human anymore, and what used to please me just don't please me anymore. Animals kill in the jungle.
Part of their form for all these years, and against uncovering more and more of this journey through history that has gone on. The location of the great monument to this man Giuseppe Garibaldi, and he was the general that unified Italy in I think 1871, wasn't it? 1861. And you see here, there's the Freemasonic compass, the Freemasonic sign, and there's the light, the illuminated ones, like the torch of Nimrod in Babylon, which is held by the Statue of Liberty, which is Queen Semiramis, the goddess of Babylon, the moon goddess. So this symbolism is kind of everywhere. And this guy, Garibaldi, was an associate of Giuseppe Mazzini, who's a very famous Illuminati operative, who was also an associate and connected to a guy called Albert Pike. And it was a letter alleged to be sent from Albert Pike to Mazzini that wrote down and predicted 3 world wars. Some people say that letter was a fake, but it's extraordinary how these things that people call have the amazing to turn out to be so prophetic. And the 2 world wars it talked about kind of play out as the 2 we've seen, and the 3rd one they were predicting was creating a 3rd world war via playing the Muslim world off against the Zionist Israel and bringing other parts of the world in, like I've been talking about for years, China and Russia coming in there against Europe and North America. And as I'm speaking here, what's happening? It's all beginning to unfold there. This is not made up by the week. It's made up or projected over a very long period of time, and it plays out like a biorhythm chart. And we're seeing the latest stage of it now in North Africa and the Middle East. This symbol on the monument is where the word fascism comes from. It's the fasci from the Roman Empire, and it symbolizes fascism because you've got all these rods symbolizing individuality, in fact, tied together under central control and ruled by the accent. And funnily enough, I've just described the European Union. That's exactly what that is, a fascist structure, absolute mirror of the fascist symbol from which the word actually came. Now, before I finish here, this is a thing that I've noticed over many years, and so much since I've been in Rome. This is like a war memorial, really. It's like a memorial and a monument to the unification of Italy. But why do we have to have a bloody naked child in there? And you walk around the Vatican just across the way in Rome, and you see the pictures on the ceilings and the walls, and they're dominated by naked children. And then when I was in London a few months ago, I went into the National Portrait Gallery in Trafalgar Square, where I'm waiting to do something outside, and I'm going round, I mean, my jaw's dropping. These famous artists who, celebrated names, and the number of naked children in their pictures was just ludicrous in terms of their number. And that's also showing us, in a way, or more than in a way, another theme that goes through these bloodlines, and that's the abuse of children. It's been going on for thousands of years, and among these bloodlines and their agents and offshoots today, it is an epidemic. Mention about this group of figures up there on the monument is there's a woman sitting on the back of a bull. Now the bull is esoteric occult symbolism for the god of Babylon, Nimrod, and the goddess is Europa, which is another name for the moon goddess, and the goddess we've been talking about. Europa, that of course is where we get Europe from. And a few years ago, the European Union, at the core, they know all this stuff and they're playing it out through the European Union. They produced some commemorative coins, European Union commemorative coins, and they had the bull and the lady on the bull, the goddess on the bull. That's Nimrod and the goddess, Semiramis, or in this case called Europa. It's in everything they do, and it's weaved all the way through our daily society without our realizing it. And what it's saying to us, once you start to uncover it and unravel it, is we control it all, but you can't see it. Well, we couldn't see it, but we bloody well can now, guys. Well, here we are in my hotel room in Rome on the first day of this LondonRome mass Beltane ritual, which the vast majority of people involved haven't got a clue what they're involved in. On the television here, I've been watching, not for long, thank goodness, the events in London at the wedding of the so-called future King of England, Prince William, and his wife Kate. And what I've been watching, you can see here, is first of all unbelievable numbers of people in the street waving their flags as these two people who are, I'm sure they might be very nice in themselves, but they are representative, particularly him, of this elite group that is imposing its will on the mass of humanity. And here we have all these people waving their flags, standing there just to get a glimpse of this royal couple in a country in which they are spending tens of millions of pounds on this event. And this is a country in which there is a massive austerity program going on, which is taking away the most basic things for the most vulnerable people. And here we have a situation where a large amount of money is being spent on this, and also Britain's going into more and more wars, as in Libya, which is costing multi-billions while they're cutting back on other people. And what do we see? Large numbers of those very people, vast numbers of those very people that are subject to this, running around the streets of London, shaking their bloody flags to get a glimpse of a couple who's just got married. I mean, for goodness sake, a few people can't control the world. It's a doddle. And what we're actually seeing, because we're obviously moving, if you get deeper down the rabbit hole, deeper into where this is coming from, and entities that are behind these elite bloodlines I've been exposing for so long, entities that operate outside of human sight but feed off human emotional energy, low vibrational emotional energy, and indeed in many ways emotional energy in general, have here the start of a massive Beltane ritual where the energy, the electromagnetic energy being generated by these vast numbers of people are being trawled, being vampired, and then as it goes through Beltane, here in Rome, in 2 days' time, it's the 29th now, on May the 1st, the classic date of the Beltane period, that exactly the same thing's going to be going on here, and in relation to Pope John Paul II. And given that London and Rome are pretty much the most significant Illuminati bloodline cities in the world, this is no accident. And I find myself talking in Rome, just down here, right in the center of the Roman city, tomorrow all day, right in the middle of this Beltane ritual. It needs a spanner thrown in the works, that's for sure. And vast numbers of people in London and Rome over this weekend need something to put a few nuts back as well, because the way they are giving their minds away, giving their energy away, giving their lives away, giving their right to think for themselves away to these few elite manipulators and front people and deeply privileged get rich quick on the basis of the energy and the efforts of the people. Who for goodness sake, the royal family with all its palaces and privileges? The people do. And what have the people been doing today in vast numbers? Look at it. Look at it. Yeah. Oh, does she look lovely? I have no problem with them getting married. Lots of people get married. Good luck to them. Good luck to them. But my goodness, it's time to bloody grow up. And fast. You give her a kiss, that'd be nice.
It's kind of strange still because, you know, people have ignored me all these years in the mainstream media, and then I'm going to Ukraine in February and I was all over the mainstream media now. It seems that a lot of mainstream media people have turned out in Italy, so the word's getting around. And we are entering a new era. That's a really good thing, because if you can wake up the mainstream, then you've got a chance. All the best.
Break a leg. What do they say about that? Break a leg?
I'm a professional translator, so I'm a conference interpreter. I'm used to, but not used to translate what I'm interested in. Usually I just get very bored.
Am I on? Oh. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's it, then. I'm going to work in sync with Alexandria here.
Allora lavorerò in tandem con Alessandra
and see how we go.
e vediamo come ce la caviamo.
I must say, I started out on this journey 21 years ago.
Devo dire che questo viaggio ho cominciato 21 anni fa.
not knowing where it was leading.
E in realtà io non sapevo neanche dove mi avrebbe condotto.
But just feeling that I had to go with it was just intuition.
Però avevo la sensazione che dovevo andare avanti, era una sensazione che mi arrivava dalla mia intuizione.
And of course, in those days and for a long time, I went through enormous ridicule in Britain and other places for what I was saying.
E naturalmente da allora per tanti anni sono stato ridicolizzato in tutti i modi possibili e immaginabili, a partire dall'Inghilterra, per ciò che dicevo e ciò che comunicavo.
But the interesting thing is that if what you're saying has validity and you keep saying it and you're not stopped by the reaction you get.
Ma la cosa che accade è che se quello che andate dicendo in giro ha una sua validità, ha un suo significato e nessuno delle persone che vi stanno intorno riesce a bloccarvi e voi continuate a ripetere le stesse cose,
then eventually people are going to see that it has validity.
alla fine prima o poi la gente si accorgerà che quello che dite ha un senso e una sua validità.
They may not agree with every word, and I'm not asking anyone to agree with a single word, because we have enough people standing on stages and podiums saying this is how it is and you must believe it.
Magari non tutti saranno d'accordo con quello che dico, io non me lo aspetto neanche perché ne abbiamo fin troppa di gente che sale su un palcoscenico, prende un microfono e dice questa è la verità e tutti ve la dovete bere.
I've always had the philosophy of here's some information that you won't get from the usual sources.
La mia filosofia è sempre stata: qui ci sono delle informazioni che non sono quelle che potreste ottenere dalle fonti consuete.
Make of it what you will.
E fate di queste informazioni ciò che più vi piace.
And I absolutely respect your right to disagree with it, dismiss it, whatever, for a simple reason. What other people think of what I say.
Nel rispetto assoluto del diritto di ciascuno di non essere d'accordo e di non voler accettare quello che dico, perché le cose che vado in giro dicendo comunque sono la mia idea.
Is none of my business. It's the listeners, the hearers' business.
E quello che le persone fanno delle mie informazioni non mi riguarda, riguarda ciascuna delle persone che ricevono queste informazioni.
We're drowning in this world in people who are telling everyone, I have the answers, you must listen to me.
In questo mondo siamo pieni fin sopra i capelli di gente che va in giro dicendo questa è la risposta e questa è la risposta che devi considerare come quella giusta.
We call them politicians, we call them journalists, we call them scientists, we call them teachers, we call them academics.
Politici, li chiamiamo giornalisti, li chiamiamo insegnanti, divulgatori, accademici e professori.
We call them priests and popes
and anche sacerdoti, il Papa.
And their equivalent in all the other religions.
E l'equivalente di queste figure in tutte le altre religioni del mondo.
Surely we can reach a place of maturity where information is given and then people decide what they want to make of it. I mean, is it
sicuramente ci avvicineremo a un punto di maturità dove le persone riceveranno delle informazioni e potranno decidere in maniera sensata che utilizzo farne.
But what has happened in the last 21 years
e che cosa è accaduto negli ultimi 20 anni?
Since I started this journey is that world events, not least what's happening in the Middle East and North Africa now.
Dall'inizio del mio viaggio gli eventi del mondo, includendo anche quello che sta accadendo oggi in Medio Oriente e nel Nord Africa,
have played out the way my earlier books said they were planned to play out.
Gli eventi del mondo si sono dipanati esattamente nel modo in cui nei miei libri avevo dichiarato che si sarebbero dipanati.
And suddenly, it kind of started with 9/11. It picked up with the lack of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and it's exploded in the last two years.
E quindi questo fenomeno è diventato sempre più evidente con la caduta delle torri nel 2001 e poi con l'assenza, l'impossibilità di trovare le armi di distruzione di massa, e sta andando avanti velocemente in questa direzione.
This is not going quietly.
Le sfide per i prossimi 2 o 3 anni saranno enormi perché tutto questo non succederà facilmente.
The more we come together, and the more we put down the fault lines that divide us,
più restiamo uniti, più siamo capaci di stare insieme, più lasciamo cadere tutto quello che ci separa,
the quicker it will be over.
E più rapidamente arriveremo alla fine di quest'epoca.
What do we do?
Cosa dobbiamo fare?
If we do that, everything else comes from it.
Basta fare questo e tutto il resto arriverà da solo.
Because, again, if divide and rule is the foundation of human control,
perché se il controllo dell'umanità si basa sul principio del divide et impera,
then if we stop being divided, we will stop being ruled. Did I say something funny? You can't do it.
se la smetteremo di essere separati.
If we don't let ourselves be divided, we will not be ruled.
Se la smetteremo di essere divisi, potremo smettere di essere controllati.
I think she needs a rest.
That was nice. Talking today. The royal wedding was yesterday, and the Pope's beatification is tomorrow. And I'm speaking in the middle here. And it's all kind of unfolding ritual. Even when you look at the floor of Westminster Abbey, where the royal wedding went on yesterday, it's all the black and white floor. Tiles or stone that you'll find in a Freemasonic temple, because so many of these great cathedrals were built using sacred geometry, as they call it, the understanding of numbers, of colours, and all the various aspects of ritual. And the Knights Templar, who of course are very, very closely associated with Rome and the Roman Church, as well as being very, very closely associated in other parts of Europe, not least Britain, where they have a massive presence in London. They were involved in the design and the geometry of so many of the great cathedrals of Europe.
Whoa! Big, isn't it? You like it? Very good. The people at the back have got kind of binoculars, have they?
Well, we have big cameras.
Yeah.
And all the camera will take your face in here.
Okay.
So they will see very big your
Well, they'll be able to stand that. But
we have three cameras.
I'm getting my pictures. I'm getting my pictures on here.
Yeah, I know.
That main screen will have my. Okay. All right. Well, let me give you the pictures, and we'll make sure they get up. And then I'll yeah. Right. Well, that needs to be here. Right. That needs to be. Yeah, it needs to be here.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Qua deve stare qua. Lo facciamo?
Yeah. So it's facing me like that.
Okay. Yeah. E lui lo guarda da questa parte per vedere.
Okay. Hello, mate. Nice to meet you. Okay, brilliant. Oh, actually, about here would be That's my brain. I get attached to it for 9 hours.
Comunicato d'emergenza. Il nuovo ordine mondiale è qui. Non insorgete, è quello che vogliono. Il risveglio del leone. Umanità, mai più in ginocchio. Il risveglio del leone. risveglio del leone. Sii tu stesso il cambiamento che vuoi vedere nel mondo. Il risveglio del leone. Sii tu stesso il cambiamento che vuoi vedere nel mondo. L'amore infinito è l'unica verità, tutto il resto è illusione. Amatevi l'un l'altro. Sii tu stesso il cambiamento che vuoi vedere nel mondo. L'amore infinito è l'unica verità, tutto il resto è illusione. Amatevi l'un l'altro. Il risveglio del leone.
Just sitting in this room, I suppose you call it a dressing room really, before I go and speak, and you know, it's rare but nice. I've been able to get online while I'm waiting to go on, and you know, going on from what we've been talking about, this is the BBC News website here. And it's absolutely dominated by the royal wedding one day on. Royal weddings, royal newlyweds party at palace, that's the main bloody head. And there's just grotesque shite galore everywhere you look. There you go, look, there's the people, bar, you know. Oh, there you go. There's the family that cares about the people. Anyway, when you go down here to kind of, if you like, real news, there's this one here which has been coming up this week a lot, and it's the tornadoes in the mid-southern states of America, which this story is saying now have reached at this point 340 people have died, and when you look at the evidence that you can put together from various sources, not least the HARP Technology's own website, and you look at these amazing number of massive tornadoes that are ripping through America in this period that we're filming this, then you look at the Japan earthquake and the, of course, horrific nuclear radiation consequences of that, and you start to realize, as I'm going to be talking about today, that this is not natural. Are they natural tornadoes? Of course, they're the results of electrical activity. That's what the twisting comes from. It's the fast rotation of an electromagnetic field, electrical field.
And that's why you overwhelmingly, or if not always, get tornadoes at times of electrical activity in the atmosphere, in the area. And are there natural earthquakes? Of course there are natural earthquakes. But is it possible for this HAARP technology that bounces radio waves of incredible power off the ionosphere in the upper atmosphere and back to Earth to manipulate the weather in the way that we're seeing here, causing what? Problems, chaos, which is just what the system always wants. Any form of chaos, any form of problems, any form of disruption, any form of upheaval, because then they can change society and get people in fear and all the rest of it as a result of that. And can they cause earthquakes by resonating a vibrational field resonance between the ionosphere and the inside the Earth to make the Earth move? Of course they bloody can, and they are. And we need to start opening our eyes to this. But while this is, you know, down the page on the BBC website, oh, we're credible, we're the BBC. It used to be called the Blair Broadcasting Corporation for a long time. We are being given this and dominated by this, the first stage of the LondonRome ritual of Beltane 2011. I can't wait to get out there today. I'm buzzing. This bloody stuff. I've had enough. Had enough of this bloody nonsense. What are we doing? I've had some nice things happen in my life, but this is one of the great privileges I've ever had. It's such an honour. I've got my own toilet that's been delivered. Hiya! It's been fumigated for me, you see, because the way the venue's set out, I'm out on a limb and I ain't near a toilet. And when you're out there talking for 2.5 hours at a time, emptying the bladder beforehand is rather essential. Otherwise you stand there like that with your legs crossed. So this is a first for me, and I'm almost moved to tears. I've got my own toilet for the first time in Rome, and I am going to ritually, ceremoniously anoint it shortly. I'm going to have a cup of coffee to prepare. You can use it, Neil, if you like. I don't mind. You know, I'm not.
I'll go second on it. Yeah,
I'm not snobbish. You can use it if you like. just leave the money at the door. Okay, I'm just about to go out there now for. Excuse me. A couple of hours or 2.5 hours. Part of it, I think it's going to be about 9 today because the information keeps expanding. And there's such a bloody buzz out there, so I understand, and I'm really, really up for this one. I'm up for all of them, but there's something different about this one. You know, there's a real energetic buzz around the place. But the most important thing that, of course, I have to do is not psych myself up and get myself in a state of infinite consciousness. It's actually to have a wee as many times as I can, so that I don't need one when I'm out there. See? Anyone got a key for this? There you go.
Key for a curtain.
Now, whoever's putting this video together, we want the drum roll. I'm going to christen my own toilet. I'll see you later. Benvenuti Roma. Yeah. I'll think of Albiedersheim here. I'll remember it. I know it's German, but I've got a strange mind. Sorry? Hey! biggest emotion I have in situations like this is not to cry. Seeing people wake up. Feeling people wake up, seeing people wake up.
Un grande applauso per il Beltane. Freedom can then start to flourish and become what we really are. Enough! Human race! Get off your knees! The lion speaks no more. And about bloody time. Thank you very much for your time.
Morning. It's our last morning in Rome, and it's May the 1st, 2001, and well, they're off. Here we go. The main beatification sounds violent, doesn't that, Neil? Is going on at the Vatican over there, across the city, but this is the main kind of alternative gathering of people, and Rome has gone absolutely crazy with this. And let's not forget this. This is all about, in effect, a French nun or something claiming that she prayed with an illness to the departed spirit of Pope John Paul II, and the Pope John Paul II's former minder, now Pope Benedict, and of course the theologians at the Vatican and the medical staff, very important. They decided that yes, she was cured by praying to the departed spirit of the Pope, and thus he's going to be beatified, and all this is going on because of that. Okay, deep breath. Breathe, Dave. Yes, it is actually true. Bloody hell. Let's go. And here we are. Looking down through there, it's only 10 to 10 in the morning, and yet they're already building. Goodness knows how many people are going to be here when the whole deal's going off and it's going on the screen and all that stuff. Over there, there's the television people and stuff where they are filming and sending it all over the world and stuff, and it's just unbelievable. So here we are. Stage and the Pope and Mother Mary and Jesus. What do you think Jesus would, the character of Jesus in the Bible, what do you think he'd make of all this stuff? I mean, he'd say, Dad, please take me back. They're mad down here. But anyway, we'll leave them to their ritual. We'll leave them, unfortunately, to have their energy trawled. And arrivederci Roma.
miseriatur nostri omnipotens Deus, et dimissis peccatis nostris, perducat nobis.
What a wonderful world it seems, and our keels running deep. We've got wine from the great marketplace. We can walk in our sleep. Do you know now that gold is coming cheap? What to lose and what to keep. You know our hearts could come closer, babe, but our heads got in the way. Just like stones in the middle of the stream, let it mean just what it means. Do we know our positions? Do we know how to keep and how to let go? You can drown in that ocean, girl. You can swim in that sea. You can rise, you can dance along the brim, you can plunge so deep within, looking down into a jungle of beliefs. Look at you, look at me. What a wonderful world it seems, and our keels running deep. We've got wine from the great marketplace. We can walk in our sleep. Yeah. Do you know now that gold is coming cheap? What to lose and what to keep.